What's up, guys? Today we're talking about Michael Part 2. Michael the sequel, and potentially Michael the trilogy. Michael hits higher note in global opening with $218.8 million at the box office. So this movie is breaking records. It's outperformed every other biopic out there, outperformed every other musical documentary out there. It's doing extremely well. It says Michael came in higher in both its domestic and global take, with 97.2 million in North America and 218.8 million worldwide, respectively. Why is this important? Well, the target number was $700 million globally. If Michael reaches $700 million, the sequel is greenlit. Now, with the momentum Michael is going at right now, we're definitely getting a sequel. And I feel like the makers of the movie felt that way too, which is why they put at the end of the movie, if you stayed for the credits, it says Michael will return in Avengers Doomsday. No, I'm kidding it, but it says Michael will be returning. They insinuated that we will be getting a sequel, that this is not the last time we are going to see Michael Jackson. Before we get too ahead of ourselves, there's an important distinction we must make. What does it mean that Michael will be returning? In what form will he be returning? Will it be a sequel? Will it be two sequels? Will it be some sort of, I don't know, independent video that's being released that's not really a movie sequel, but just additional footage? It's a question that needs to be asked, because we see here from Adam Fogelson, chairman executive at Lionsgate. He said, "While we're not ready to confirm plans for a second film, I can tell you that the creative team is hard at work making sure that we're in a position to deliver more Michael soon after we release the first film." So clearly the statement was made before the movie came out. Let's look at the date, November 6th. So this was last year. So, if this is true, we might be seeing Jaafar Jackson as Michael Jackson pretty darn soon, even before we get the second film, which honestly I think is, I'm pretty darn sure we're getting a second movie at this point. But we might be seeing more additional footage of Jaafar Jackson as Michael Jackson a lot sooner than we think. Now comes the big question. If we do get this additional footage, what would it be? Would it be footage that should have been in the movie that we just saw? Would it be deleted scenes from that movie? Because I'm telling you, there were a whole bunch of deleted scenes. Check out my last video, we talked about that. Or could it be footage that would tie us over to the sequel? You have Michael Part 1, you have Michael Part 2, and this additional footage could potentially be in between, tying the two movies together, kind of like what George Lucas did with the Clone Wars. I think that could be a decent option. If you guys saw Michael, you know that movie had a lot of time skips, there were a lot of jumps, there was a lot of context that was missing. And if they do something like this, where they have like a Clone Wars type of thing, something that's additional footage taking place between Part 1 and Part 2, you can use that to flesh out the story more. Something that I wish Michael had. I wish we had more footage, So either way, this additional footage could flesh out the time period between Michael Part 1, Michael Part 2, or I'd be happy with this too. It's additional footage, deleted scenes that should have been in Michael Part 1 that wasn't there. So that additional footage could flesh out the movie that we already saw, because I'm still hoping and praying that we get a extended cut of Michael. That would be fantastic. But it seems like a lot of the scenes that were cut from the movie were cut due to legal actions. Check out my video that I did last, talking about Diana Ross and all of that stuff. So now the question is, how much of this additional footage do they have? And how much of this footage is going to be saved for the sequel? Let's take a look at this interview with director Antoine Fuqua. Deadline asked, "You have a third of footage that can go into the potential sequel?" Fuqua responded, "Absolutely." So we have over 30% of footage that's already filmed, done, ready to go for the sequel. If you remember from my previous videos, the original movie was going to go all the way to the allegations. It was supposed to tell the entire Michael Jackson story in one movie. But that third act was cut due to legal reasons. I'll post the link to my video up here if you guys want to check out that whole story, what went down and why it took place. So they've already filmed a bunch of Jaafar Jackson in the 90s era already. Dangerous and Invincible. They've already got footage of that time. Now what they need to do is they just need to go back and fill in the gaps. They need to go back and do reshoots and fill in the gaps. Let's continue here. Deadline asked, did you shoot through the end of his life or did you shoot up until Remember the Time? Fuqua said, we went pretty far. We went through the Jordan allegations we couldn't use. We went further than that. Wow, okay. Maybe a year or two after that, 1995, when things were turned against Michael. So they've got a lot of extra footage. Granted, they only filmed enough to fill a 3.5 hour, 4 hour cut, right? Because they were planning on doing one movie, which is why for Michael, they still had to go, even though they shot a lot, they still had to go and do reshoots because they needed to now expand it to one movie. At this point, I'm sure you guys are wondering, all right, what footage was cut from Michael? I need to know what these deleted scenes are and what was the additional footage that was filmed that's going to be used for the sequel. I need to know. I want to see these pictures. I want to see this footage. Well, I've been doing some digging and I'm going to do another video talking about all the footage, all the pictures, all the material that I found that was cut from the Michael biopic. And not only that, stuff that they couldn't have used in the Michael biopic because it only went up to bad. So this stuff that I found could potentially be, we might see it in the sequel, or it could be in the additional footage that Fogelson mentioned. So I'm going to do a video. We'll talk about that. I'll share that stuff with you guys because I think that's super interesting. Now, what does this talk about a potential trilogy? Because we might not just get a part 1 and part 2. There might be multiple sequels. We might get a part 2 and a part 3. How crazy would that be? We might get an entire Michael Jackson trilogy. Let's take a look at this interview here from Fogelson. Again, at CinemaCon, Adam Fogelson said, look, there's at least one more movie, which means we might be getting more than one movie. He continues to say, just speaking less as an employee of Lionsgate and more as a person who has spent a lot of time in the movie business, I was always excited by the possibility that you could make a more complete and satisfying telling of Michael's story if you weren't confined to only one movie, he said. That's music to my ears right there. I would absolutely love a Michael Jackson trilogy. I said in my review, we needed to get 4 movies. But I mean, if we're not getting 4, a trilogy would be fantastic. I mean, that would be so cool. Getting a Michael Jackson trilogy, that would be awesome. That was the biggest thing that was missing in this movie. It needed more time. We needed to see more. We wanted more. And if we get a trilogy, if we get 2 more sequels, we'll have enough time. We'll have plenty enough time because I want to see more of Michael Jackson talking to the executives. I want to see the build up to performances. I want to see the workings behind the scenes. We missed so much stuff. I want to see stuff outside of the music too. I want to see Michael trying to buy out Marvel, wanting to be Spider-Man, wanting to be an actor in movies. You know what I mean? I want to see a bunch of this stuff. There's so many things that happen in Michael Jackson's life. Not just the music, not just the behind the scenes and making of the music videos. While all that stuff is super cool, there's so much more stuff you can add into a Michael Jackson biopic. I mean, even sticking strictly to the music. We saw that with the Michael biopic. They stuck strictly to the music and they still had to rush. They still skipped out on stuff. So the more we can get, the better. So, with that said, let me know what you guys think. Are you looking forward to a Michael Jackson sequel? Are you looking forward to a potential trilogy? What do you think this additional footage that Fogelson is talking about is? Let me know all of your thoughts down below in the comment section, and I'll see you all in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.